Great. Thank you. Welcome back to those tuning in online. We are now on agenda item 7, which is the Pension Fund Administration Monitoring and Contract Arrangements update, please. Thank you.
Thanks, Chair. I've got several bits to go over. I'll pause at the end of each one briefly, just if there's any questions, if you're happy with that. So just to start, look at the LPPA quarterly report covering Q1 for 25-26. Not sure if you've had a chance to look at it, but just some high-level observations from me. They maintain a high level of SLA that, you know, I'm still diving in deeper with them to build confidence in that figure. McCloud was progressing well, and if I can give a further update to McCloud, which I did earlier as well, which seemed well received, so I'll cover it again here. ABS active production is at 99.1%.
That's the annual benefit statement, ABS.
Thanks. Deferred statements are at 99.4%. Active statements with McCloud included is at 86.7%, and deferred McCloud is at 79.2%. I know some of those figures might seem a little low, but for this complex addition, it does show significant progress. I'm speaking with them later this week, and I'll drill into a little more details about that. But my understanding is, if a McCloud statement wasn't ready, which we'll touch on another point here shortly, is that then a standard ABS was produced. And I'll just drill into you know, the 0.9 of active and the 0.6 of deferred with them, and the resolution to that and when that will be done. So I can give a final update in the next one.
David.
Just 1 second, sorry. I do think that, just to note, Appendix 4, we'll have to discuss that in private.
I'll leave that till the end.
When that just but yes, please go ahead.
Just in terms of the McCloud judgment and how it affects Ealing, what are the numbers that we're talking about? Because you know, the percentage is something, but what are the numbers? Because I'm trying to grapple with, you know, the figures that you've just given, and what are the numbers that we need to deal with, and why is it so complex, and why is it taking time, and why are the percentages lower?
Sure. So the impact, the last I heard, was estimated at, even though if you're eligible for McCloud, the underpin would kick in for less than 5%. And if it does kick in, it would, on average, increase your annual pension by £250. Yeah, so that's the latest. I don't know now specifically, now it's been done, what that truly means for Ealing, but hopefully in the next meeting I'll have that information. In terms of the complexities around it, obviously a lot of it is to deal with collecting any hour changes between the 1st of April 14 and the 31st of March 22. There are further complexities around if someone's got a pension share in order, if they've had a club transfer in, how the transfer has moved between like A, B and C, and the breaks in between them. So it is complex, and LPPA and Ealing are in a really, really strong position. I'm aware of some big funds out there who haven't produced any McCloud statements for 24-25. And then if you're happy, I'll just carry on a couple more bits on observation.
Sorry, we just had one further question from Councillor Steve.
Because I haven't been on the panel for some time, can you just give me a very brief resume of what the McCloud issue is?
Yeah, sure.
If- if
So
a brief resume.
yeah, no, that's fine. I will. I'll keep it short and sweet. But in essence, there's the McLeod ruling is reviewing people's service between the 1st of the 4th, 2014, when the structure changed to care, and the 31st of March 2022. So in that period, what happens is, all this happens automatically. Nobody needs to request it. In that period, it will automatically take the previous scheme accrual rate of 1/60th and the care accrual rate of 1/49th, be it that's pensionable pay, not final pay. So the 1/60th and 1/49th, you think of it as a cake. If you were to have 1/60th, it would be less than 1/49th. Therefore, usually care benefits will be higher, but there is that small percentage when the underpin does kick in, and then the previous scheme benefits are higher based upon final pay. So that assessment is automatically done, and then the higher figure is automatically paid. That's the short answer.
Compensating one lot of people, a certain lot of people that were deemed to be unfairly treated when the scheme changed. Yes, those are.
No, and if you want to find out any more about it, the LGPS member site is very good, and I would recommend having a look at their McLeod site. And then just continuing, just some observations. I kind of went back to where we were this time last year to get a bit of a feel to see how we're doing now compared to last year. I noticed that contact centre times have increased significantly by from nearly 2.5 minutes to over 4. McLeod does have a slight impact on that, but I have seen those recently start to reduce again, which is good. Active retirement satisfaction has dropped by 10%. Overall contact centre satisfaction has only slightly improved, but that's despite those longer wait times. And late retirement notifications from employers seems to has sort of had that impact to timely payments. And then just on that point, as we build the relationship up with LPPA, I'm aware that they do have an employer engagement team that has not been utilised before, so I'm in discussion with them about that to see how we can start to utilise that and start engaging with employers as we continue to build that relationship. That was all I had else on the quarterly report, but happy to take any other questions.
Sorry, I'm just, obviously this is our bread and butter. We talk about this often in terms of pensions and delays and whatever, but it may not be appropriate for you to answer this, but is it LBE, which is predominantly the late notifications, or is it other employers who are a part of our scheme?
I think it's a bit of a mix. I haven't managed to do the deep dive yet, but something that I spoke about earlier is I'm really keen for the team to get our voice out more and potentially, utilising the LPPA, but also like using the internal communications. I'm currently looking at something towards the end of October and early November where we have a room booked out here at Ealing, and then we'll then invite slots for people to come talk to us and have payroll there as well. It's in its infancy at the moment, but hopefully that will continue to grow. So yeah, I'm really keen to find out which employers we need to speak to first to get that impact. But if things are done on time, it's quite an automated process, and those steps are there that as soon as the lever is done, things do tick on. So it's just getting that message out there, and being, it can't just be a once and done. We need to keep reminding people that if you've got a lever, get it on iTrent, and the process will naturally start.
Yeah, the reason why I asked the question is because late notification means a delay in the person receiving their pension, which means that they are in problems if they don't get any payment. So it should be a slick, smooth process, and within a timely fashion.
Yeah, agree, and that's kind of over the SLA. Like, I kind of skip over that, but the report does have a section in it about, you know, have we done the retirement in the following month, and that's one area that I'm really keen to drive that score up. Okay, moving on, just to note the summary of the LPPA AAF audit report for the period of April 24 to March 25, and we will share the report with audit internally, but it's just to highlight that there was high-level opinion that 28 out of 30 control objectives reached an unqualified opinion, and there were 2 that were qualified. They were only for a small time-bound period. So overall, LPPA, you know, kind of wanted to celebrate this excellent result and demonstrate that they've got robust controls in place around the services that they provide to us. Any questions on that Appendix 2? Okay, great. Moving on to Appendix 3. Firstly, Chair, thank you for signing that Appendix 3, but just to bring here and discuss further, following on from the previous meeting in July, it was highlighted to me that for McLeod there would be a small group of members that we would require that discretionary consideration regarding the decision to not include McLeod data at this time. And that also for those that needed rectification, that they may not be completed by the deadline of the 31st of August. Overall, though, in summary, as touched on earlier, we are in a really strong position. The fact that most members were actioned by the statutory deadline is a strong position. Touched on earlier that some funds have exercised this discretion for their entire membership, and again touched on that rough estimation and the amounts applicable earlier too. But just to confirm, excluding McLeod information, that it doesn't risk overstating benefits, it would only increase them. So it's just to make sure that that's noted within this and everyone's happy with that signed decision as well. Perfect. I'll skip to 5 before I come back to 4. So the MHCLG online response, for those that aren't aware, it was aimed at improving access, fairness and administrative clarity within the scheme. Overall, it's just an effort to modernise the LGPS and ensure it aligns with legal judgments, social expectations and operational realities. Points 7 to 15 here kind of highlight some of the key takeaways. Happy to answer any questions, but it does highlight, you know, with McLeod and dashboards and then some of these recommendations, you know, there is an impact to the administrative burden. I'm sure we will see impact down the future. You know, sure LPPA's costs are going to increase because of this. So just something for us to consider. But overall, obviously we worked with LPPA in the response to this, and it did very much align with the LGA's response to it as well. But happy to take any particular questions. Okay,